Just months after his birth, an innocent baby was found dead at the bottom of a 30-foot well. More tragic than the gruesome discovery, however, is what led up to his body being found there. Dylan Groves was found dead at the bottom of a well near his Otway, Ohio home about 6 months after his birth. Sadly, the innocent baby never had a chance after being born with illicit drugs in his system. Although he was removed from the custody of his parents, Jessica Groves, age 39, and Daniel Groves, age 41, and placed into the custody of the Scioto County Children's Services, the agency failed to protect him. Dylan was initially placed in a non-relative foster care, but in less than 2 weeks he was returned to his father on a trial basis as part of a reunification program by Children's Services, which retained legal custody of the infant. The Columbus Dispatch reported. Daniel Groves completed the requirements to have his son returned to his care, according to Laura Fuller, director of Scioto County Children's Services, but within days Daniel was non-compliant, skipping court dates, home visits, and doctor appointments, according to WSAZ. Nearly 4 months after returning Dylan to his father, Children's Services notified the sheriff's office because they'd been unsuccessful in contacting Daniel and locating Dylan. Deputies went to the Groves mobile home at 2241 Mount Hope Road, but no one answered. They returned several times with the same result. Finally, during another visit weeks later, authorities found Daniel and Jessica Groves riding a four-wheeler. After a pursuit, however, the couple escaped into a wooded area. 3 weeks later, detectives executed a search warrant. Jessica was taken into custody immediately, but Daniel barricaded himself inside the trailer, and a 6-hour standoff ensued before he finally surrendered and was arrested. Once in custody, Daniel admitted that his son had been dead for 3 months, but led authorities on a wild goose chase in search of Dylan's body. Eventually, the baby's corpse was found at the bottom of a 30-foot well located on a vacant property about 2 miles from the Groves trailer. It was secured in milk crates. The milk crates containing baby Dylan's battered remains had been wrapped in 6 layers of plastic and sealed with duct tape, a chain, padlocks, and zip ties. According to an autopsy, Dylan suffered skull fractures on both sides of his head, a fractured left arm including a broken radius, humerus, and ulna, a left leg fracture, 2 broken left ribs, soft tissue hemorrhaging in his right chest wall, and a laceration to his left arm, WSAZ reported. The news of Dylan's death devastated Andrea Bowling, Dylan's foster mom, for 12 short days after his birth. Andrea, who described Dylan as a sweet, loving, happy baby who would forever impact her life, hoped she would eventually get him back. Instead, she believes the system failed him horribly. "He loved being swaddled and held close, and I did that with him for 12 straight days," Andrea recalled tearfully. "He was just so precious and adorable. I took thousands of pictures of him in the short time I had him." Andrea hopes Dylan's story will spark positive change, that, along with her belief that she'll see him again, is what's helping her cope with the senseless death. "There need to be changes made for this system that we have. This should have never happened. I want Dylan's life to have that purpose and that meaning to stop this from ever happening again," she said. "I know he's up there in heaven, and I truly believe he'll be waiting on me." Daniel and Jessica Groves were both indicted on 11 charges related to Dylan's death, including aggravated murder, endangering children, gross abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, and 4 counts of felonious assault, in addition to interference with custody and kidnapping, since the child died while being kept from Children's Services, which had retained legal custody. Both Daniel and Jessica pled not guilty, according to WCHS. Jessica admitted in court that she killed Dylan, however, calling it an accident. The search warrant that led to the arrest of Daniel and Jessica and the eventual discovery of Dylan's body also resulted in Daniel facing unrelated charges of theft and receiving stolen property. Stolen items valued at $42,000 were found on the Groves property, including 2 four-wheelers, a camper, 2 trailers, a utility task vehicle, and a riding lawnmower. At the time of Daniel's arrest, he was already on probation for a misdemeanor theft charge. He was also simultaneously out on bond on a separate theft case involving 2 felony charges and a misdemeanor charge, including grand theft. His sordid criminal history caused many questions why Children's Services had handed little Dylan back to him so quickly. According to a peaceful protest outside the agency's building in New Boston, Ohio, according to NBC4. Participants of the protest believe the agency is partially responsible for Dylan's death and should be held accountable for placing him back in his father's care. In response to the tragic chain of events, the Board of Scioto County Commissioners asked the Children's Services Board to place Director Laura Fuller on administrative leave pending a third-party investigation. The agency was also asked to immediately review the case of every child in county custody out of fear there could be another Dylan waiting in the wings. Shockingly, Dr. Fuller wasn't placed on leave. At this time, the executive director, Dr. Laura Fuller, will remain in place pending the result of a third-party review, board officials said in a statement after holding a 3-hour executive session to discuss Fuller's fate. We will be requesting a meeting with partnering agencies to better facilitate agency relationships to help promote the better welfare of our county's children. We as a board care very much about children in our custody, and we're deeply saddened by Dylan Grove's tragic death. Even more devastating is the fact that Dylan's extended family saw this coming, but felt powerless to do anything about it. I think the whole situation is horrible. We knew from the moment Jessica was pregnant that it was going to be something awful. Dylan's cousin, Alicia Maddie, told Fox 19. We are both disgusted and devastated by what's happened, she added. As for the reunification requirements Daniel completed, she said, I can't imagine he got clean off of what drugs he was on in 12 days. The family's been criticized for not interviewing, but according to Alicia, they couldn't. Daniel and Jessica wouldn't really allow us to be around him, she said, referring to baby Dylan. People are posting, why didn't the family do this? Why didn't the family do that? But Daniel threatened us that if we show up on their property, he'd either shoot us or, quote, let their dogs loose, she added. We wish nothing more than the ultimate punishment to be given to these sick individuals, to which we have the burden of calling family. The family's wish came true on what would have been Dylan's first birthday when his parents learned their fate in court. Although Daniel Groves was found not guilty of aggravated murder, he was convicted of the 10 remaining charges and sentenced to 47 years to life in prison. He won't be eligible for parole until he's 49. Jessica Groves was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Those who love Dylan hope his death is a wake-up call after drugs took over Daniel and Jessica's lives, leading Dylan to be born suffering the side effects of his mother's addiction. He liked to be swaddled, held close because he constantly had the shakes, Alicia said, and like Andrea, she wants his story to inspire change. As his family who loved him more than anyone could even imagine, do not let him be just another face of a child who had the misfortune of druggy parents, she pleaded. My family and I will use our voice to make sure Dylan James is not forgotten.